Okay, well, this is Paul Benton with the Aura Coaching and Education Services podcast, and we're here with Jenn Brown of Jenn Brown Coaching. She's another teen coach here in Texas, and I'm really excited to be able to speak with her about her practice, how she got started, what is her career leading up to this, and really what is kind of the future hold for teen coaching and why it's impactful, all good things like that. So Jenn, talk to us. Who are you?
Hey, Paul. Yeah, thanks. This is just a world that I never in a million years would have thought this is where I was headed. But we had a lot of life traumas happen in a very small 5-year frame of a period of time. Just as you can imagine, that completely reworked my life. So I have stepped into this world because I see such a great need. Do you want to hear all the things that led to this?
Yeah, we can definitely get into that because I think that's a huge part of uh, change for a lot of people sometimes is that things got hard. They needed to change. And right what you said is like, I would not be right here doing what I do had I not been through a couple tough things first. But why don't you go first? What's been the catalyst for change over there?
Yeah, I was in the classroom. I had my life all planned out. I was going to be a teacher until I wasn't, and I retired. And we had my husband and I, Jeff, we've had 3 beautiful children. And so I was still momming and getting my system going, my rhythm. And my 9-week-old baby was shaken in the care of somebody who we trusted. And so I got a call one day that he was sick, and I went to pick him up. And that was the last day that I was ever in my school, because that's when our world unfolded. And we were very much made guilty until we had to prove ourselves innocent. And so we went through a lot of rigmarole, to say it nicely, with CPS, the police, and as well as having my son recover. And so there was an entire shift there that was like, oh my word, like I have to quit. Like I have to stay at home. Like this is where I'm needed. So we did that and did the polygraph and got ourselves cleared. And we were starting to rework what life was going to look like with my youngest at home, healing. And then we got the diagnosis that my oldest daughter, when she was 8, was diagnosed with cancer. And so she was diagnosed with ALL. And then, so we went through that once again. So I'm home. I'm home with 2 recovering children from very extreme traumas. And I get them kind of going, and then thank the Lord that they are recovered. And so they're both kind of headed back to school. And then my middle son gets diagnosed with a seizure disorder. And so I walked in on him having a clonic-tonic seizure, and there was a whole other round of back in the hospital. And what I learned in that 5-year period, it wasn't a long time. I mean, it was not long for all those things to happen, that this life is short and being a mom is so important, and they need us the most when things are hard. And so that's when I had a coach and a therapist, and I was like, I want to do what you're doing, except I want to do it with the kids, because that's my happy place, is to work with the kids. So very long story short here, that this is how I kind of got into the world of coaching teens, and it is exactly where I need to be. And I think it's fantastic. So.
Wow. Jenn, that is a load to hold. That is a hero's journey for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, here you are, you've come into the world new and found your passion, doing your thing out of all of those hard times.
Yeah, because
Wow.
what it would have been really easy to do is to stay in the victim mode, into just why is this world picking on us, and what have we done? And I stayed there. Don't get me wrong, I visited that land,
Yeah.
but it's just, life is short, and when you look at your kiddo on a bed wondering if they're going to survive, it really puts it into perspective. So it was awful, it was horrible, but you only have a couple choices, and it's either you pick yourself up and figure it out, or you stay in that low space. And that low space is awful. I hate the low space. So this is how, I feel like I could share that with parents, and I do. And I work with teens, and, stress is stress. Either it's sitting in the hospital room, or it's an assignment that they have not done and it's due the next day. we're still all, getting those stress hormones released and feeling really upset about it. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. If we try to compare our reactions to the stress that's in our own body, there's really no point in it. Our body is reacting to the neurochemicals that it is experiencing, and
right.
how well we can handle that, how well we can regulate our emotions dictates the experience that we have. It's really not comparable, but
It's it's
but
not.
it's universal, at the same time.
Yeah, you're not going to hit anybody that's, no matter what their highlight reel says on Instagram, that is not going through something in their lives. And,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, it's just a matter of like, where do you begin? Where do you begin? I don't know. I mean, you just have to start with your very small introspection and work from the inside and then work your way out. That's the way I did it. And that's the way we coach, we coaches do it. So that's
That, that victim space you spoke about it's pretty fascinating to me,
it really
because the reality of your situation, not knowing the way through, getting medical diagnoses that you don't know how to solve. You need help. You need a lot of help. It makes sense you're a victim in that situation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
And,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's kind of where we came to the point of like, we don't have control of a lot, but what do we have control over? And this reminds me of the time when Ryder, my youngest, was shaken, and we were very much being told, well, why don't you just confess? And we were like, but we did not do this. But they wanted to be able to put a name on it. And so we decided to hire a lawyer and go find the best polygrapher in the state of Texas. And that's when we were able to kind of set ourselves free and go through this very extreme, rigorous process of going, taking a polygraph and trying to uncover, for everybody else's sake, that we should not be scrutinized. And we had to have somebody move in with us, of a family member, so they could watch us with our kids. And, it was hard. It was hard. So for sure, there was a lot of living in that victim state. And that's why I think that's how we can relate to other people, is
Yeah.
because we've experienced it so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I feel like that victim space is just this call to action for yourself that might be outside of yourself. It might be, I need help. It might be something like that. And you mentioned, like, boy, I didn't stay there too long. What do you think might have happened if you did?
It was a dark road for sure. And that's just, I mean, I know myself well enough to know if I stayed in that space, it would have led to a depression. It would have led to not getting out of bed. It would have led to not being able to parent my kids. I mean, you name it, just anything that kind of is in that space. And it makes me, because I just want so much out of this life. And it's like, this is not it. This is not how I'm going to get there. And so it just takes where you're just kind of like, just got to dust those boots off, and it's going to be really hard at first, but man, is it worth it? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. When you say it that way, you felt victimhood before, and you've apparently shifted somewhere.
yeah.
Not feeling that anymore. What would you say it is? What is it when you think of the world in this kind of way?
Say that again. Repeat that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if we were in victimhood before, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense, and you're not there anymore.
Oh,
Where have you shifted to? What is it now? What is it now you're experiencing?
yeah. So I live in a very high energy state of where I want to help other people and where I want to dream. And I do dream, which is how, I mean, when you business owners and entrepreneurs know that when you are running a business and helping others, that's the great part of it. There's no ceiling. There's no place to stop. It's just, what new thing can you think of and how can you expand it? So I'm definitely in a dreamer state. And I always tell my parents and my teens that I work with, helping other people is a springboard to feeling better and to thinking better of yourself. It's just, because that's why we're here, right? Is to like support each other. I mean, that's the way I see it, community.
I love it. I love it. I can really relate to that, and I've always been a helper, like personally. I got a degree in special education. I was like the guy at the big old University of Texas, getting that degree. I worked in schools. I, got a master's in educational administration. I ran schools. That was crazy. And, but I've always been a helper of sorts. But for me, I found my big change, my tough stuff with a health problem. I personally got Lyme disease and just had a really tough run with that, trying to run schools. And I had this mentality before of like, the harder I work, the more people will love me and all of those kinds of things. And I remember like having all these neurological problems that I'm hiding from people. My ears are just constantly ringing. I'm having seizures. I didn't know it at the time, but I'm having all of these kinds of problems and just hiding it and keeping moving. And we had to move our school from one location to another. And I remember working 80 hours one week, which included I was a director of a private school, so it included things like I'm laying a concrete floor in the new place so that we have a nice floor for it. It's just crazy, crazy things, and I fell out. Couldn't do it. My body gave up. It couldn't happen anymore. I was in victim land. I couldn't hide anymore. I can't hear people anymore. My body's falling apart. Half of my face is sagging now, just really crazy stuff. And so I had to say I need help. And I resigned. Well, I took a month off, medically, and could not see how on earth I could put my body back into the same kind of situation. And so I did resign, and soon after I found myself in a coaching program, IPEC, which we both share, which just completely changed my life. And it was funny, I was so excited to get out of everything that had to do with education. I'll go be a corporate business partner coach or something, something. And it wasn't until I jumped into IPEC, I saw what it offered, I felt what it offered personally. And I said, I gotta go run right back into schools and go be a helper again. I have to. It's like it's what I have to do, and now I have to do it in a way that's going to be okay for this body. I can't be around loud noises like before. It gives me seizures. That's crazy. It's a really hard place to be in a school. And what I found once I started coaching, and I focused in on executive functions coaching, which is the frontal lobe stuff and the part that really may struggle with things like ADHD or autism. Or just being super busy or having a hard thing happen in life. These executive functions, the more we know how they work, the better we can, use them, align them, attach to our frontal lobe and all the important things. So as I started doing this work, I'm working individually with kids now. I am finding a turbocharger in helping. Why? And like, what's the difference? Well, the difference is like literally me. I'm not who I was before. I fell. I had to rebuild myself new. I have different ways that I can empathize with people and understand, hold space, and like all the important things that you need as a coach. I don't think it was really available and as a parent to the people I was trying to help before as it is now.
Yeah, I think, as you talk about the body tells us everything we need to know. When you're down, you have a headache or your shoulders are tense or you can't sleep. It's stuff that we can write off easily of, I'm just tired, I'm just stressed. But as you well know, like your body was putting it on the chalkboard all over the school saying, this is not your path anymore. And it was probably hard. It was probably a very hard time for you to say, well, whoa, this was my vision. This is what I thought was going to happen. And oh, what's it going to look like to completely dissolve that down and to rebirth it? Like, man. And what would you say like your happiness level is? Like, I mean, can you even put it on a scale?
Oh man, honestly, I feel like I'm back from the dead with this Lyme thing. Like I'm grateful. I didn't expect to be here, and so through the time of like building my business, and it was really hard to go, well, what's my 5-year plan? A lot of my planning was I'm going to help as many people as I can before I can't anymore.
Mm.
And so I'm playing a lot of catch up with some of the business stuff and making sure it gets all streamlined. Because guess what? I'm here and this thing's sticking around and it's getting better. And my body is happy. It is happier. I still have Lyme. I still have problems, but it doesn't rule my life
Yes.
anymore. I've learned to manage it better. My diet, my movement, my exercise. But the reality is, like yesterday, I took a walk around the block, with the family. And by the end of it, like they're way up there and I can't do it. I finally just unhooked my dog's leash and said, go run with him. He was tired. Oh, that's okay. I'm going for a walk, and that's
Okay.
good. And I'm happy with that. So, but yeah, and then so there's that mind shift from I'm a victim to this situation. There's nothing wrong with that. I needed help. What did I need help with? I would have no clue back then what I know now because I've done it. I had to it's like Frozen 2. I'm sure you've seen Frozen 2.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
When Anna says, I don't know what to do, but like the next right thing, that little song she sings while she's just taking a step at a time. Like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Wise words, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. Like just and just and stop and look up, just enough to say, what's next for me? You don't have to plan out your whole life. And that's different for me. When I was younger and I was in my teaching career, man, I had it all plotted out and I was going to do this at this age. And it is gone. And it
Yeah.
is so much better that way. Because I'm putting a cap on it. When I'm got my vision on, there's a cap. I mean, it's in a small little, I've got my, like, what are those things when you bowl, those little like things that
Oh
come up?
yeah,
Yeah.
bumpers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bumpers. Yeah. Yeah, those are gone. It's just, I mean, the when I think of vision and future, man, it's just, I mean, I see the sky, I see clouds, I see the sun, and it's just whatever our brains can come up with and our creativity can come up with, and it's just, how exciting is that? And
Yeah.
and I try to do this with my kids too as a parent. Like, I'm not putting those caps on them and that ceiling to think this is what my vision is. It all goes back to my vision. And once I could kind of dissolve that down and rebirth it as, you know what, that's okay. Whatever happens is my lot in life, and that's what's going to happen. Man, it's like I just feel my shoulders go down. I'm not putting pressure on myself or my kids to do anything particular. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can really relate to that, like sky is the limit
Yeah.
kind of thinking, it'll hit me for sure. And I know for me, that means like sometimes I need to come back down and like do the stuff and do the thing and all of that. And so it's been really helpful to have people around me that can be
Yes.
supportive. But at the same time, I also hear a lot of messages when I'm thinking big that try to pull me down.
Oh
You ever
yeah.
hear that? Do you
Oh
ever
yeah.
hear?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that this is yeah. And I've named my negative thinking. I have a little like creature in my mind that I think of because I like to keep it third person. So that way when Pearl, she's an octopus, to,
Nice.
if you'd like to know her name,
Yeah.
she comes in and gets her tentacles and starts, that's the pull, that's the weight. You're not good enough. Why listen to you? This is not your, like, this is, no, you're supposed to be taking, you're a bad mom. Oh, whew, that's my big one. All the things that are going to tell me. And so I have to be very active with Pearl and push her away and say, you know what? Thank you for trying to protect me. I see her not as a bad thing. I see her as trying to protect me. But just saying, you know what? I've got this. I'm doing it. I've survived a whole lot of things, and I bet I can figure this out, and it's going to be really cool. So just go there and get it. Just start watching because you're going to
Yeah.
like the show.
I love it. I love it. I have a feeling Pearl's job has been some kind of thing of like protecting you from failure, something like that. It'll do that to us sometimes. It just can hurt. We don't like to fail. And so that means one of our solutions can be not try.
100%. And when you do revision what your life's going to look like, that's a big part of it. Because
Yeah.
it's stepping out of your comfort zone. I think of my circle. I don't know if you watch Mr. Beast on YouTube, but he does
Oh
this. Yeah,
yeah.
the circle, and you put stuff in the
Yeah.
middle. And I
Yeah.
think of my circle, and like I'm happy in the middle. That's all the good stuff. And if you step out of the circle, then that's out of my comfort zone. And boy, have I been living outside of that comfort zone, but so thrilling. Like I go to bed at night thinking about like ideas. Like I almost have to like, no, find your balance. It's okay to slow down. But that's cool, right? Because when I worked in the schools, I mean, my brain was so tired, I couldn't, and God bless the teachers. Let's be real honest about that, and the principals.
Yes.
But it'll, you don't get to creatively think too much in that position. So it's just such a cool dynamic to see.
Yeah, it really is. That whole thing about, we're kind of really getting into that, what I think is one of the most crucial things for teenagers to be learning, which is how do we respond to mistakes? And in a lot of ways, that is so shaped by the external world around the kid. How are they met when a mistake happens? What do we do about that? And so in my teen coaching, I found myself working with teens and a mistake will happen. And in my mind, just kind of as we talk, it's like, oh, let's do the honor, a step and da, 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 da. And then I would find them bumping up against, maybe they didn't know how to communicate with mom or dad. They were worried how they might react. Yeah, they might not like that, and sometimes it just totally makes sense. Like nobody's doing anything horrible or anything wrong. It's just that we all have different perceptions of certain things, and we're all wired, neurologically different. And that's just a reality of us as well. And so there are some things that I've started to do where I will work with the team, but let's also work with the parents or maybe the whole family, or maybe we can even go and work at the school a little bit too. I'm wondering with your coaching, have you found anything similar there?
Oh, 100%. So,
Mm.
and a lot of times if the teens are hiding something from mom or dad, or they're very open with us coaches because we make it, we're a safe place, right? So they understand what they share with us is confidential, and it's also no judgment. And so it's like, oh, and so they tell us things. And when I hear that, my number one thought is not to focus on what they did wrong, but it's to say, well, why are you hiding this? Like, what? Let's go deeper. If you're hiding it, that means you don't feel comfortable. Like you said, your communication with your parents are often maybe not as open and accepting. And half the time, I don't even think the parents or the teens even know that. That's just part of it. It's just how it works.
Just how it works.
It's
Yeah.
just how it works. It's just this. It's just the way that the rules have been set up in the family. So a lot
Mhm.
of times I'll ask the teen, I'll say, do you mind if we have a family meeting? Like, let's get this out. Let's learn to communicate. So when something, because you're going to make another mistake, you're going to have something that's hard to talk about. I mean, we were all teenagers. We know things come up and it's like, what in the world is happening? And so, and 100% of the time, the teens have said yes. Every
Wow.
single time. They're like, yes, I would, they don't say I would love to, but they say I'm open to it. And then
Yeah.
the parents will come in and we just kind of lay the information and figure out where the meeting ground is in the middle. And it's beautiful because everybody wants the help. Everybody wants to be able to communicate, but I'm not sure they just really know how to start or how to do it.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah.
100%. And it's like, when I think of my family, like it's not like it's absent of these sorts of things either. These
Right.
are very, very relatable things. For me, in coaching with my daughters, with my friends, with my family, with people I just meet, coaching really taught me about the power of the question.
Hmm.
What do you think that means? What does it mean to you?
Oh, it means open-ended. It means giving them space. It means making it safe. And I'll add when we have a family meeting, and even in my own home, because we just had one last night, because I'm a sixth grader.
Me too.
uh, yeah, we always start. This is a safe place, so I need everybody to commit that whatever is said won't be used against them down the road. It won't be you. It won't spark an immediate anger or at least a reaction. I mean, you can be angry. That's okay. That's an emotion, but you won't hold them again, like make them feel bad in an assault, whatever. And so yeah, to me, the going back to your question is just open-ended and space.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
space.
it's amazing because when we ask, you know, we tell a kid what they did and they know anyway. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
What just happened? That's a very different thing, and maybe they're a little less dismissive
Yeah.
or push away what's being said. And in a lot of ways, when we can ask a question with minus judgment, there's just room. When we add the judgment, there's less room. They're gonna, if they don't like the judgment, they're gonna try to work around it in some other ways. Lying is one of the techniques that we'll use for that. And why are they doing this? Probably because they have a pearl the octopus.
That's
You know,
right.
it's protecting them from the failure, the judgment of the parents. I don't want to look bad. I want to be the perfect kid. I want to do all of those kinds of things. I don't want to try hard because I think I'm going to fail anyway. Why even try?
I think it comes down to that fear of failure. And for all of us, like if you were to dig down to all your insecurities and all their insecurities, and it's nobody wants to fail. Like that's not, and it's hard. It's can be embarrassing. It can be, frustrating because you know your capabilities. It just may not be the right avenue, but it's easier said than done. I say that often. Like I get it. But yeah, like I think just going under that microscope and that magnifying glass of let's tear apart what you've been doing, and those kids will often just, if they don't have a safe place, they will often just shell up and be like, no, 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 I'm done. And you can see their body language. Once again, the body speaks. Like their body language, you can see them head down, you can see their shoulders like in, and often if you really pay attention, you can say, I will say, I said it last night, your body's telling me that you're done with this. So
Yeah.
what can we do? How can we make you feel comfortable? Like put it back in their court. And well, I just, and that's when often they'll be, if they're comfortable, we'll say like, I need this. And that's when you can kind of work as a team to meet this center ground that's going to be this place of communication.
Yeah. I like it. I like it
Yeah.
a lot. When you are in a session with one of these teenagers, what are the benefits? What are the things you start to see over time?
Oh man, I was just working with a kiddo yesterday, and he is the prankster of all pranksters.
I like them already.
I know. Oh my gosh, I adore it. And that's the thing. When you work with these kids, you just see they're like such good kids. Oh my goodness, they're such good kids. They're great, funny humans. And but he's gotten into trouble. He's, just taking things to school to smell funny, and so we've really dissected. We've worked now for 5 weeks. And instead of saying, I want to get to the end of school without getting in trouble, because that's the goal, right? Like
Goal.
I came out of ISS, all the things.
Yeah.
His new shift of perspective is, I want to start my summer off free from any groundings, no phone. I want to start my summer off in like a positive state, and mom and dad trust me, and I'm going
Mm.
to have more freedom. And this just really clicked yesterday. It was amazing. And he is like staying out of trouble. I mean, it's like the coolest thing because he's shifted. Like I'm working for something instead of
Yeah.
just like trying to make these moves of not making like silly decisions because of impulse.
Yeah.
Now he
Yeah.
has greater vision, which I was like, yes, you were there.
So that's beautiful. To put that in terms of like executive functions and what I think you helped him do, he did it, but I think you just helped him with the space is pretty main, the sharp questions, all the kind of stuff that a coach does. It's a lot. But by giving him that, you helped him attach to that frontal lobe. The frontal lobe being the task positive, it's an executive state where we can be in charge and learning, working memory, initiating into tasks. A lot of how you were explaining what it feels like in your coaching business now. You're excited. That's that frontal lobe at work. Well, if we're in a fear state, it turns off, and we go back to the more mid and back brain back here, where we'll be more defensive. That might be where we lie. We're
Right.
literally not engaging that front brain. And what does it really, really, really need? It needs something to be excited about. That's about it.
Yeah.
It needs something to aim at. And sometimes I'll say, well, let's find something little next week,
Yeah. Right.
and it's funny is like I can watch their body, them feel better, more excited about their life and where it's going. And one of the things that comes with that is they can look in the future and feel more positive about it, and it like makes a lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. So what do? We talk about that thing and who are you? And I'm just adding in strengths finder assessment just to like get the gears kind of greased a little bit on like, who are you? Think about yourself, a little bit of metacognition, because you are about to be asked where you want to go to college and possibly, given your situation, might be taking an insane amount of debt on.
Right.
And if you're anything like me, you might end up being a principal and paying a lot of money to do it. No, I'm grateful because it set me up to be able to help and support schools on the outside in a neat way. Just had to do that. But no,
Yeah.
that probably wouldn't have been, my path or what I chose to pay money to do. It would have been this. Been a great path. It was a more expensive one than it had to be, though. So think about yourself. It's just really crucial in these teenage years.
Oh man. Oh man. I am like soaking in what you just talked about with the frontal lobe and it
Yeah,
just and I knew that, but the way you said it was just like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And
yeah.
just giving them that tiny outlook, even if and you're gonna start tiny. I always
Mhm.
say, from Atomic Habits, like you start 1%.
Yeah.
And that is so understandable to us as humans, busy
Mhm.
humans, of just saying, okay, that friction is not going to be like it's crazy, because you're just doing 1%. And man, when you achieve that, it's like, huh, I am awesome.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's all about taking that big and just shrinking it down. And then you can go from there.
You can go from there. You're just lining up the thoughts towards something cool that makes you feel good. And if you're feeling good, then the actions come out in a way that moves toward it. If you're not feeling good, then the actions come out a way like, like stress. It's our
Yeah,
stress. It's a lizard brain. It's true. It's
it's
just
true.
kind of, it's true. That's a really good thing. Like when I work with schools or teachers or, and that kind of thing, one of the big things I see is that their expectations is like, they can change based on how they're feeling.
Oh, yeah.
So the kid on the other end of that, the teacher is more stressed, and it's just what it is. This is how we all work.
Yeah.
But when those expectations change, well, are how the teacher may be feeling in the moment, stressed out. Okay, well now they're just a human. They're just doing what a human does, and so they're going to go back to more automatic responses that unfortunately probably look like their moms or their dads when
That's
they
what
were
I was just gonna ask you. I was just gonna say, do you think that stemmed
like,
from just the way they were raised and that inherited
yeah,
vision
it's
and
wired
thought?
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah,
this part of our brain is wired in. This part of our brain can create. And so if we're stressed, this turns off. It goes back here, and whatever is wired in, we do. And sometimes we're even embarrassed about that, right? Because
mhm.
like you're like, oh, I yelled. And so then we start as a parent or even as a teacher, where it's like, well, I don't want to apologize to the kid, but I'm gonna buy him ice cream, or I'm gonna,
Right.
we'll start doing all these things to make ourselves feel better. It's Pearl. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
Pearl
Pearl.
doing
She's
stuff.
hanging.
It's just Pearl doing stuff. Um, but when a teacher can start to look at the what's happening in a kid when there's a behavior problem or when things are working really well and just start thinking about it, are they in a stress state or an executive state? And this is like conscious discipline would be where a lot of this kind of framework can be just super easily digestible by Becky Bailey, the founder of that. It just starts to be so helpful and supportive because it helps you go, just be more metacognitive about the situation and not get sucked into it. I've had teenagers call me all kinds of crazy things, like as you could probably imagine. That doesn't hurt my feelings.
Oh,
They're doing
right.
that because, oh my gosh, their frontal lobe's not working. And this is the kind of thing that's wired in when they feel stressed. This poor baby, that's not going to work well for them. That's
Yeah.
the reality of it. It's sad. And whatever consequence me as a principal or a teacher decides to put on top of that, it doesn't beat what's just there. The kid is going to have trouble with connection growing up if they're super reactive, or very protective. If they're lying, where's the authenticity in their relationships? That's a consequence. That's a
Yeah.
real consequence that takes decades and therapy and all of these kinds of things to start to figure out who do I want to be. And that's really all the teenage years are really about.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly right. So let me tell you how I explain it in my business. You can tell me
Oh,
if I'm on
please,
the
I
right
can't
track
wait. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
because you're so good at that.
Oh,
That's what you do. Uh, I talk to the kids about being in red brain and green brain.
love it.
I'm like, when you're in red brain, all your reason shuts down and your emotions are coming out. and
Mhm.
and you have no filter and everything that's just when you word vomit and you say things that you don't really even know you're saying and you're just coming out. And when you're in green brain, that's when you're calm, your breathing is normal, you're thinking of things in a way that has reason and consequences and just in a healthy state of thinking. I shouldn't say a healthy state, in a way of thinking proactively.
Mhm.
Okay, is that along the same lines? I mean, because that's kind of where I go with.
That's wonderful. You know, and like we could get really, really deep on what is happening. You know, we could talk about this through a neuroscience lens.
Yeah.
I could attempt it. But that's not the level I understand. That's like more of an action-based kind of thing. Yeah, we got red brain and we got green brain. You know,
That's it.
true. It is true. That is a true statement in a very digestible, easily relatable way for people to understand what's occurring here. Practical enough to get it done. You know, and that's what it.
That's the
That's
goal,
what I.
right? That's
Yeah,
the
that's what I consider myself. I can barely understand, but just enough. You know
yeah,
what a doctor can, or they highly trained people.
yeah.
But I have a level of vocabulary and personality, and I know people, and that's people. You know, and so I'm a translator. Let's translate
Yeah.
some of that
You're
stuff.
a liaison.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see if we can
Yeah,
make
because
sense of all of this.
yeah, it takes a special person to be able to talk to the children, to talk to the teens, to talk to the young adults, because they're not gonna. I mean, it's a whole like personality thing of being able to say, let's just chat. Let me get to know you, because
Mm.
I just want to know the real you. And man, is that not? And that's why I think I just when I work, and I'm sure when you work with your clients, I like love them as people. I'm like, you are amazing. Let's get you set up because you golly have so much to give and they don't know it themselves yet, but that's the goal, is to get them to see it in themselves.
I
I
love
had
it.
a parent text me yesterday. My teen made me mad and I told them I needed to go down and get back to green brain. And so she
Mhm.
used it and the teen knew exactly what she was saying and gave her 15 minutes and then they met on the stairs and finished their conversation. And I was like,
Mm.
yes,
See,
you're amazing.
I'm telling you, like I don't know that mama, but I
Mhm.
am proud of that angry mama. It's
Mhm.
not the anger. That's not the problem. It's what we do with it.
Yeah.
What do we do in this moment now that we are angry? How do we bring choice into that moment? You're
Because you
helping.
know what's not
That's
working?
awesome. Yeah.
What's not working is getting in an argument with two red brains.
Well,
That's not working. And they know that because they've been doing it now that's why they reached out for help. They've been doing it for their whole lives.
yeah.
So now that, and that's kind of what my saying is, when something's not working, try something new.
Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. Try something.
I like it. I like it a lot. You know, when I was hiring teachers and all of that kind of thing, um, in a weird world, had you like moved to Austin and you were looking for a job and da da da, and I would be able to tell on the phone, oh, this is a teacher.
Yeah.
This is yeah, interview. Let's go meet this person, and then being able to meet you on Zoom, and that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
see you've got the thing. And I don't even know how to describe it, but it guided me towards it. I think it's connection, authenticity. Kids trust you. And to me, those are like the number. Anything else we can
Right.
fix and we can
Yeah.
work
Right.
on. And
You can
even
learn.
that, we can do that too. I'm better at that part now than I definitely was back then. That's clear. I needed to have Lyme disease and fall apart first before I could empathize better. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I think you got the thing. How does that feel to hear?
It feels really good, and my first reaction was like, oh, no, no,
Yeah.
we don't talk about that. But I consciously just told myself, let him finish. This is
Yeah.
this is important. And it feels good because I feel like I have the thing too. And now it's just owning it and saying, you know what, now let's go share this thing, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and help some families, because man, that's like just the biggest gift that one could ever, I mean, you know,
Yeah. It's
set
the
the
most
fireworks.
important. Yeah. It's the most important thing. It's why you said, oh, I'm at home now, when things got hard.
Yeah,
It's the most
that's
important thing.
that's exactly right. So, and boy, I'm glad I got to shift out of that stage, because sitting around staring at my kid with a tube down his,
Mhm.
head to his bladder was not
I
my
can't
favorite
imagine.
part of life. But he made it, and he's doing great. So I'm thankful for that too. But whew,
Boy, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a process. That's a
yeah.
process. Everybody's doing well.
Yeah, everybody's doing well. I know I always try to add in with that because people do wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, my youngest is doing well, and that's been something else that I've had to kind of address, is that we did not have control to see the other person carry out with the crime, the abuse. And so we've had that's taken me the longest. I'm not gonna lie about that, is having to focus on my world and not try to control whatever
Yeah.
other people had happened to them. And so but I think we're there, and I think I've had to just kind of come to the conclusion that life isn't always fair.
Yeah. You were talking about the victimhood state of the situation, and I'm trying to put myself in the shoes in that aspect of it. And I think it might make me feel pretty angry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's another space that we have to shift from, because how's it going to feel to be angry forever?
Not good. I mean, and my body was telling me, I was living in a state, I was unhealthy. I was, just in my daily activities. It was manifesting in my stomach, because that's where my stress likes to live. And then
Mm.
uh super angry, driving by the house, like just like trying to like control things that I had that were uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've just had to, leave it into the hands of the greater powers to be, and that what I can control is my world and my family. And but boy, I mean, 6, 7 years of that talking to myself, a lot of therapy, talking to myself through it. EMDR was huge with that
Cool
situation.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
So
That's pretty fascinating that this body, right? You said it's manifesting in my stomach. You could draw that connection.
mhm.
It's really crazy too about when we are engaged here or here, when we are feeling emotions. They're just signals for our body to do all kinds of different things.
Mhm.
One of the things that happens when it goes back here and we stay, or just for a little bit, is we're turning off our digestion.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so if you're chronically back there, that's why a lot of people that have a lot of anxiety or stress, or they find themselves very, very angry, they
Mhm.
tend to have a lot of digestive, issues. There's also different cell repair, our ability to like rework broken protein to be something else, which is the basis of cancer. These are the kind of things that science is looking at pretty heavily here and finding some really fascinating things, that chronic stress states are literally bad for our health, literally bad for our health. And they know why.
Yeah, I believe I saw it. I mean, if I would have stayed in that state, I wouldn't be on this earth for a heck of a long time. So,
Yeah.
uh, just making that decision, man. Whew.
Look at you.
I know. Look at you, right? So, but thanks to like you said, the people. I mean, I surrounded myself with people because I could have not done it. And I don't think anybody can. Like, if you're in a state that you're so hard, and
Yeah.
it's very hard, but why not? Why not recruit people that are trained and have the thing and the energy and to just pour into you, because you're worth it. I mean, I'm worth it, and you're worth it. And you have a
Oh,
team that got through, your Lyme. And I mean, I can only imagine that you're in the same state. It was like, man, I needed those people.
yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, truly, there are some crucial individuals that, again, I'm here and I wasn't sure I was going to be. So pretty ecstatic about that. So it's good.
Me too. Me too. We need that calm voice and that smart thinking.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny too. We were talking about like stress states and what that can do. And I don't know if you remember a few years back when there was a pandemic.
Oh, oh, I think I recall it.
Oh, you remember that? Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge one. It was funny. I was building the business the entire time. I resigned from being the director of a little private school like October of 2019.
Whoa.
And then I just had too much time on my hands to watch the news and what's happening, you know? And so like I saw the writing on the wall when we invented a thing called asynchronous learning to throw all over. We had a lot of bad ideas, like a lot of
Yeah,
very bad
just namely.
ideas.
Yeah.
And not to what do? You know, this is crazy. We got to figure this thing out. But these ideas, I mean it. I say it. I can. These ideas created executive dysfunction on a mass scale. And I think that teachers can feel it. You know, I think a lot of us can feel it. The fear of a pandemic helped too. You know, all of these factors in our whole world, and everyone's looking at education like, what's wrong? Blame the teachers, blame the parents, blame the students, blame the principal, blame the central admin. But maybe school is just kind of the canary in the coal mine of the things that are most important to us, which are our children. And it's just an example or the place where it's going to manifest first that our society is really hurting right now. You know, and so a big hugs to everybody in schools. We are going through it, but I really, really do appreciate you. I appreciate other people that can start to look at what it means to develop from a child all the way through an adult and look at what we are doing and how we are presenting ourselves so that we can be the kind of environment so kids can grow and move forward and become who they are so they can see that thing forward and then go, got it, pull themselves towards that. Big difference. It's a huge difference for our bodies and our lives.
Yeah. I mean, imagine knowing all this stuff as a teenager and a tween. And I mean, man, just the possibilities.
Yeah.
And they are coming out of COVID, and COVID messed with us all. I mean, there's not a human on this planet that we can all align that COVID was hard and scary. And so, as we unfold what happened, hopefully we can learn from it. God fearing it ever happens again, but we can learn from it and yeah, man, just take what we've learned and try to move forward in the best way possible.
That would be great. That would
That
be
would be
great.
super.
It's kind of like it's like collective or societal. It's maybe just the same thing as an individual. It's like we need something to look forward to. We need to see that it's okay. We need to see that the economy's good. You know, it's hard. We might be feeling like a victim or we might be feeling angry, and it might be for a good reason. But what do? We do the Anna. Just do the next right thing.
Yeah,
It'll get there. We'll
that's
feel
right.
better.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if we worry about the bigger picture, then we've lost a lot of brain space and energy towards something that's not something we can't control, the economy.
Yeah.
You can do your little part if that's what you want to invest in. So yeah, I think it's just that breakdown, the 1%. The 1% doing the next right thing. Let's just marry our two things and then we'll have a really good plan.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, Jen, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you better. You know, I see your posts. I see again, even from the post, I'm like, that's a teacher right there. That one I can tell. But it's awesome, and we're not that far from each other. Are you making a trip down to Austin anytime soon?
I have some family down in Austin, so I
Do
need to.
you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, don't come down here and not reach out. I'd love to meet you in person sometime.
Let's do it. That'd be great. We got big things to do.
Yeah. Well,
All
awesome.
right.
Well, ton of fun. I think we really got a chance to talk about probably how a lot of us are feeling in May. You know, for parents we feel like a victim. We are worn out. We are tired. But there is something that you can do about that. And I think this has been a really good discussion and real timely for this time of year.
Absolutely. All right, Beth. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.